Ted, NV Energy recently announcing it will de-energize its infrastructure on Mount Charleston to prevent wildfires. That means this summer, communities on the mountain could be without power for hours on end. 8 News Now reporter Darlene Melendez was on the mountain today as many residents voiced their concerns.
Thousands of feet above the Las Vegas Valley, you'll find a special type of peace on Mount Charleston.
This was it for me.
Rose Moranto would know. She's lived on the mountain since the 80s.
Being on the mountain is my pride and joy.
Rose's joy could be disrupted, though. She's dependent on this oxygen tank. And this summer, NV Energy could shut off her power for hours on end to avoid wildfires.
We've got our freezers full of food, medicine that has to be kept. So many implications.
Kevin Garrity works with NV Energy. He says although a fire hasn't sparked on the company's power lines, doesn't mean it's not possible.
We're just a little bit beyond the 5-year anniversary of the Carpenter 2 fire, which was extreme in this area. Imagine that same thing happening, but it's a lot closer where people live, and it was caused by some ignition in a power line.
Retired County Commissioner Chris Giunciliani is a part-time resident of the mountain and is pleased with the open dialogue.
If you're going to deal with something this necessary for safety, you should involve the residents as well as the other stakeholders like police, fire, and your first responders.
NV Energy says it'll give residents at least a 2-day notice before cutting power and promises to protect resources.
We won't cut power until we know we've protected communications and protected the water supply for the community. We'll make sure that if there's not already backup generation there, we'll mobilize generation.
After the meeting, some residents, like Rose, still weren't convinced and await the end of summer to see if the company keeps its word.
Are they really looking out for our interests? You know, I'm a skeptic, sorry.
Darlene Melendez, 8 News Now.
NV Energy says when utilities are cut, it'll open comfort centers on the mountain where residents can access power and water. The company hoping to move some power lines underground as a long-term solution.